It feels like home, home, home. It feels like home, home, home. It feels like home.
Hey there, welcome to Weldon Home. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make milk bread, which is one of my all-time favorite things. When my husband and I first moved to North Carolina, a friend of mine invited us to a raffle and we won this ticket to a place called Kindred, and they came out with the most magnificent clover of this fabulous, soft, puffy bread called milk bread. And ever since that moment, I've been trying to figure out how to make it. And I think that I've got it really, really well. I think it's as good as theirs. So I'm going to begin by turning on my stove, and I'm just going to turn it up to a medium heat. And I'm going to add 1 cup of warm water to a 1/3 cup of bread flour. And I have not used whole grains in this yet, but that's my next trial. So I'm going to try and figure out how to do it with freshly milled grain. I've only ever made it with bread flour, which is higher in protein than most regular flours. So what I'm going to do is try and just get this to come together without lumps. If it has a few lumps, it's not going to hurt the overall texture of your bread, but you just want it to be kind of a really loose, watery roux. It's not going to be thick to start off with, but then we'll cook it until it gets to be about the consistency of pudding. So once I have the lumps pretty well out, that looks pretty good, I'm going to go ahead and add a 1/3 cup of honey. And I don't normally do anything but eyeball honey. I just don't like to measure it. It makes such a mess. So that might be a little more than a 1/3 cup, but that will be fine. And I want to dissolve that honey in this roux. And I'm going to add a full cup of cream. Oop. That was stuck because of the water underneath. So the honey's beginning already to dissolve. I'll go ahead and add in this beautiful cream. We get raw milk from a local farmer, and he doesn't normally sell his cream, but I just saw in the refrigerator this last time a massive container of cream, and I'm excited to go and try that.
What container?
Oh no, I didn't get any.
Oh, you didn't get any.
No, it was labeled for someone other than us. The way that he works it, it's a local farmer and he has kind of an honor system. So we actually go after church and go pick up his milk, and it's always dark, and he just has our name on the bottles, and I just leave my money in his fridge. So it's very much a little honor system. It's actually the same with our animal feed around here. We get all of our animal feed and our local wheat actually from a farmer who does the same thing. I love that that's the way around here. We used to have a little grapefruit stand in Redlands that was the same thing. We just had a little money box. We'd pick all of the grapefruit and leave them in grocery bags, and people would come by, and we very rarely had anyone not pay. Although we did well, it got a little corrupt by the end. We couldn't do it all the time, but it's really nice to know that for the most part, people are good and want to do the right thing, especially when you assume the best.
There it goes, thickening up.
So see, the texture there is very pudding-like. It would definitely stick to the back of a spoon. See, I can draw my finger through it. That's what you want to look for. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add this lovely gloop, this lovely tangzhong, it's called, into my KitchenAid mixer and get every last drop of it. This bread is so fluffy, and it pulls apart and has like little strings of yummy, just such a soft, fluffy dough. So to that, I'm going to add 5 cups of bread flour, and then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast. And I like to just stir that around a little bit And then I'm gonna add a tablespoon and a half of salt. So now I'm going to beat a couple of eggs. I have the tiniest little fork that I love for beating little things like this. Forks are just probably my favorite implement in the kitchen. You can't do without forks, but you can make a fork do for very many other things. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add those in. All of your ingredients should be at room temperature. Your tangzhong is okay if it's a little bit warm still. You don't want it super hot because it can kill the yeast too. So I'm just gonna kind of bring that together until it will hold into a little bit of a shaggy mass. And then I'll go ahead and let my dough hook do all of its wonderful work. I've been letting this knead for about 5 minutes. And now 1 tablespoon at a time, I'm gonna add half a stick of butter. And you'll see this will just get a nice sheen and gloss to it. You wanna make sure that you allow it to come back into a heap. You'll see the butter kind of gets it to separate some from itself and it becomes like 2 balls almost. Make sure that the whole thing has come together again before you add your next tablespoon. This makes the softest, fluffiest pull-apart dough. I can't wait for you guys to see it. We're actually making it tonight to have homemade pulled pork sandwiches. And I have sort of resolved to not buy any more bread from the store. I just don't like all the ingredients that are in it, and that I went downstairs. For a long time I've been thinking maybe we shouldn't buy bread from the store, but I went downstairs to get something from our downstairs refrigerator, and there were some hot dog buns that had been there for over a month and they looked absolutely fine. And I just thought, I don't know what's in these, but I don't think I want my kids to eat these anymore. So I have resolved since then that I'm not buying any more bread. So it'll either be sourdough, or there will be milk bread, or there will be brioche, or whatever it is, but I'm not going to buy bread from the store anymore. And that's my New Year's resolution. So I hope that you'll come along with me on this bread journey. There are a lot of breads that I love to make already, but there are some new breads that I'm going to be trying out. You want it to come to a nice smooth mass, and it'll be beautiful and shiny, and then I will allow this to rise until it's doubled. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all poofy, and I'm getting ready to separate it into hamburger buns. Well, for us tonight it'll be hamburger buns, but I'll show you what it would look like if you were going to make it into rolls or whatever you would like to use it for. So it looks like our bread dough has risen and is looking puffy and lovely. Let me show you. So I like to just grab all the way around the outside. I don't want to add more flour to the inside of the dough. I want to just get all the way around the outside. And then I usually use this lid that I have used to cover, and I use that to just do division on there. There we go. And then you just want to divide it in even pieces. So if you just divide in half and then keep dividing in half, it's going to make 16 rolls. So when I make rolls, I like to take the back of my hand, or the palm of my hand, and just make that kind of a template for it to get nice and round on. I know people have different techniques with this, but this is mine. And then I just pinch it into a nice little round roll like that. And once they've risen, I will brush them with an egg wash, which is just a beaten egg and a little bit of water. And that way they get that nice shiny golden brown top. So I just keep working the outside into the middle, almost like you're making a little dumpling. This is actually a Japanese recipe, Japanese milk bread. There's a store called Milk Bread, and they serve sandwiches on their milk bread, but they also make the very best milk bread donuts. And so those are a fun treat as well. And soon I will show you how I make milk bread cinnamon rolls, which are completely different than my Amish cinnamon rolls and completely different than my rock and rollery rolls. But there these are, ready to go. And once they're risen, like I said, I will cover them with an egg wash. Nighty night, little rolls. We'll see you in a bit. Yep, I think that's going to be healthy and good. What are you waiting on? Hello. So I've been allowing these to rise. You can see they're a little bit different sized, but it won't really matter because we have different size eaters in the family too. You can mix an egg with a little bit of water and just make an egg wash for the tops. And this just gives them that nice, shiny, golden brown, finished look that's so nice. And it also helps to keep the inside nice and moist. Look at how amazing. Na 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 na. I'm gonna probably brush them with a tiny bit of butter because that's how I like to roll, pun intended. Let's get a little bit of butter on these while they're really hot. In my opinion, you cannot over butter bread.